I want to give all the praise, all the glory, all the honor unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rekah, Kodash. Double honors goes out to the elder apostles of Great Millstone for teaching me the truth. Also want to acknowledge all the Akim who are pushing the truth with sincerity throughout the four corners of the earth. And shalom to the elect. Excuse me. Shalom to the elect of the nation of Israel. All right, this is Shabai from the GMS Denver. And going to go in through the Spirit. Isaiah 34. It says, "Come near, ye nations, to hear, and all that is therein." And hearken, ye people, let the earth hear, and all that is therein, the world, and all things that come forth of it. For the indignation of Yahweh is upon all nations, and his fury upon all their armies. He hath utterly destroyed them, he hath delivered them to slaughter. And that's what's going to happen to this, all these nations, their armies, all these people, they're going to be utterly destroyed. At the second coming of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, when Yahweh Shai visit the earth, okay? When he comes back in those clouds. Verse 3, it says, "Their slain also shall be cast out, and their stink shall come up out of their carcasses, and the mountains shall be melted with their blood." Right, and then also the mountains are actually going to melt themselves. Because you're going to have those nuclear missiles, they're going to hit, and everything's going to be, wasted away. Everything's going to be wasted. Let me see. Let's get a precept. Psalm 97, 5, it says, "The hills melted like wax at the presence of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, at the presence of Yahweh of the whole earth. And the heavens declare his righteousness, and all the people see his glory." So you see, why is the hills going to melt like wax? It's going to be because of the nuclear missiles. Okay? Let's go back to Isaiah 34. In verse 4 it says, "And all the host of heaven shall be dissolved, and the heavens shall be rolled together as a scroll, and all their hosts shall fall down, as the leaf falleth from the vine, and as a falling fig from the fig tree." Right, so the host of heaven, it's, not only is it talking about the chariots, but it's also talking about those missiles. Because you got to understand that, when the missiles hit, they go up. Well, first when they're launched, they go up into the heavens, and then they come back down and they fall and they impact the earth. So you're when you get that mushroom cloud, you're going to get that visual of a mushroom cloud, like when the smoke, and it appears like a mushroom cloud in the sky. And like if you look at a fig falling from a fig tree, if you shake a fig tree and all those the figs fall off, that's how the missiles are going to look coming from the atmosphere, because they get shot up and then they travel across. They're called intercontinental missiles, and they travel like a Russian missile be shot, launched from Russia, and it'll hit America in like 15 minutes. But it goes up into the atmosphere, and then it comes back down. And you're going to have a bunch of missiles, a bunch of warheads that are going to, fit this parable where they look like a fig falling from a tree, as if you shook the fig tree. Verse 5, it says, "For my sword shall be bathed in heaven. Behold, it shall come down upon Idumea and upon the people of my curse to judgment." Right? So, the sword is the modern day sword are the missiles. Okay? And it's going to be bathed in heaven, so it's going to have to go through the heavens, and then it's going to fall back down on Idumea, like it says here. And Idumea is the Greek word for Edom. So we know this is talking about Babylon, America. This is the place where the Edomites are ruling in wickedness. The Russians are also Idumeans or Edomites. But we know through the Spirit this is talking about Babylon the Great. It says, "The sword of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai is filled with blood. It is made fat with fatness, and with the blood of lambs and goats, and with the fat of the kidneys of rams. And Yahweh hath a sacrifice in Bozrah, and a great slaughter in the land of Idumea." Okay? And the people are going to be those, this is parabolically speaking. It says lambs and goats. Those are going to be those, the 2/3 in the heathen. The 2/3 in the heathen are going to be the sacrifice, that great sacrifice that's going to be, sacrificed in Bozrah. And again, Bozrah was a chief place in Edom. So we know through the Spirit, this says the Lord Yahweh hath a sacrifice in Bozrah. It's actually dealing with the people. "And the unicorn shall come down with them, and the bullocks with the bulls, and their land shall be soaked with the blood, and their dust made fat with fatness." And I know that the unicorn, and brothers can correct me on this one because I'm not 100% sure, but I know part of the unicorn is a metaphor for the internet. So this could be talking about the satellites as the unicorns, because that those are a representation of the internet, and those satellites are in the skies, in the heavens. So those things are going to come down too, right? Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, he's going to destroy the whole system. Esau's whole system. Part of his system is the internet right now. So that's going to come down, just like all these, these bulls, goats. What else did it say? Let me go back. Lambs. These are going to be people, actually. It's a metaphor. Right, like Yahushua was the Lamb of God, and the goats. We know the goats are not the Israelites, the Edomites, right? Because it talks about in the book of Daniel, it talks about Alexander. He was a goat. He was that goat. He was the first goat. The first leader of Edom. But anyway, I'm not going to get too caught up in that breakdown because I don't want to mess it up. But these animals are likened unto it's a parabolic for the people that are going to be destroyed, which the people that are going to be destroyed are going to be of the heathen and the 2/3. "For it is the day of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai's vengeance, and the year of recompenses for the controversy of Zion." Right, so when this destruction happens, it's literally vengeance. So this is why we're actually, we're happy for this place to be destroyed, because we know that Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai is taking vengeance on our behalf for the controversy of Zion. Right, and one of the controversies is they hid who we are from us, you know. They, matter of fact, the fake Jews, the so-called, they're Edomites, they are Edomites, but they calling themselves Jews, the Jewish, which they're actually the tribe of Amalek, which this is a controversy, because we know through the Spirit that the true tribe of Judah, or the true Jews, are the so-called American blacks, who were brought over, by way of the slave trade. And it's not just about the tribe of Judah, but all the tribes. Esau Edom has kept us in captivity, ruled over us with oppression, and that's why Yahweh is going to take vengeance on Idumea, or Edom. Verse 9, and the streams thereof shall be turned into pitch, and the dust thereof into brimstone, and the land thereof shall become burning pitch. So how would a stream, a river, turn into pitch, but aside from a nuclear missile? All right, that's the only way you could turn water into pitch. And pitch is like a burnt substance, kind of like when they pave the... Every time I hear the word pitch, I think about the like the tar, like when they pave the roads. This is how this place is going to be when it's moist, before it's hardened. The pitch that's what these lakes are going to, these rivers are going to be like. It says, it shall not be quenched night or day. The smoke thereof shall go up forever. From generation to generation it shall lie waste. None shall pass through it forever and ever. Right. Because no one's going to inhabit Babylon, America, after the nuclear fire. Because you got to understand, the earth abideth forever. So the earth is not going to get destroyed. It tells you in Ecclesiastes that the earth abideth forever. And the thing that's going to get destroyed is Babylon, America. But like it says here, that smoke is it's gonna go up for an age. That word "ever" means an age. So while it will smoke for a long ass time, that word "forever" means for an age. But America is going to be set up as a memorial after the destruction. Because when we're in the chariots, when we have the kingdom, we'll be flying over in the chariots, showing our kids, showing our children the example of what not to be, which that will be America, Babylon the Great. Be like, look, this place is still smoking, flying over in our chariots, showing our kids. This place was all kinds of wickedness, The sins that reached unto heaven. The phone had a chime on that. Basically this place is an example of what not to be. It says, none shall pass through it forever and ever. Right. But the Camara and the bittern shall possess it, the owl and the raven shall dwell in it, and he shall stretch out upon it the line of confusion and the stones of emptiness. Right, because it's going to be a desert, a desolate place. All right? There ain't going to be no human beings dwelling in Babylon, once the kingdom is established. This place is going to just be a place of, unclean birds, creepy animals. Basically just like from a horror movie, some desolate land, is the best thing I could compare it to. Verse 12, it says, they shall call the nobles thereof to the kingdom, but none shall be there, and all her princes shall be nothing. And thorns shall come up in her palaces, nettles and brambles in the fortresses thereof, and it shall be an habitation of dragons, and a court for owls. The wild beasts of the desert shall also meet with the wild beasts of the island, and the satyr shall cry to his fellow. The screech owl also shall rest there and find herself a place of rest. There shall the great owl make her nest, and lay and hatch and gather under her shadow. There shall the vultures also be gathered, every one with her mate. Right, and all these are unclean birds. Like, these are animals and birds that we wouldn't be able to eat, right? So, but, it's Isaiah 34 is just painting a picture of a dark land, desolate, smoke coming out of it, because, like I say, those missiles are going to do a number on Babylon, America. You're not going to have any inhabitants in America, once the missiles do their thing. It says, seek ye out the book of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai and read. No one of these shall fail. No one of what? The prophecies. None of the prophecies are going to fail out of the book that we're reading. None shall want her mate, meaning there's no other books that you can pair up with the Bible. All right? This is that's why we know the Apocrypha is the Old Testament. Because the Apocrypha in the New Testament and the Old Testament, which, again, the Apocrypha is part of the Old Testament. But it mates with it because why? Because it's actual part of the book. Like the precepts in the Apocrypha line up with the precepts throughout the whole Bible. It says, for my mouth it hath commanded, and his spirit it hath gathered them. And he hath cast the lot for them, and his hand hath divided it unto them by line. They shall possess it forever, from generation to generation shall they dwell therein. Talking about all these unclean animals, unclean birds. And let's go to Isaiah 54 and 16. It says, behold, I have created the smith that bloweth the coals in the fire, and that bringeth forth an instrument for his work, and I have created the waster to destroy. All right, so the waster is this, the missiles that are going to destroy this place. Annihilate it, right? This place is going to be nothing. Nothing but unclean animals, unclean birds dwelling in it, owls, vultures, It's going to be a place where you definitely don't want to live. That's why there won't be no inhabitants. But like I said, it's going to be a memorial. We're going to see this place smoking for a long ass time. And, it's going to always be a constant reminder of the wickedness that we had to deal with here. And really, it's called America, so you got to remember the word America in the Spanish and in the Latin, you say amargo, which means bitter. And this is a bitter-ass place. So you remember, this is spiritual Egypt. And, on the Passover, what do? We eat bitter herbs to remember the bitterness of ancient Egypt. Well, guess what? That smoke is going to be a reminder of the bitterness and the wickedness that we had to go through while we were here in Babylon. So it's just going to be a memory, a memory of a memorial of what not to be like, reminding us like, yo, that place was wicked as hell. You had transvestites, using the restroom with your women. You had homosexuals serving your food. You had women who were being, adulterous, loose, hoes. You had men that were committing adultery, going after other men's wives. All that type of shit happening here in Babylon, America. So this is going to be a thing of the past. You're never going to have this wicked ass, society. When we get to the kingdom, you won't hear about all this sin and this wickedness. All right, but it's going to take those missiles and that fire to cleanse this place, to burn it up. So, I'm going to go ahead and close out on that. With that, I want to give all the praise, all the glory, all the honor unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Rakakudash. Double honors goes out to the elder apostles of Great Millstone for teaching me the truth. Also, I want to acknowledge all the Akyam who are pushing the truth with sincerity throughout the four corners of the earth, Shalom to the elect of the nation of Israel. Shalom. See, and that right as I say that, right as I closed out, fucking dyke just walked by, bald-headed woman trying to be a man. Hey, we ain't gonna have to deal with none of this bullshit. It's gonna be a thing of the past, all right? But it's gonna take those missiles to destroy this place, to cleanse this place, and it's gonna be that memorial. We ain't never gonna, we ain't never gonna want to come back or live like we are here in Babylon, America. So shalom, brothers. Shalom, shalom.